This is People to Be Heard, the program where people who have something to say have their say. I'm John Bailey, and tonight I am in the White Plains Performing Arts Center, where Jenna DeLarco, to my immediate left, and Bobby Cassell, to my far left, play Esmeralda and Quasimodo in the center's production of the Hunchback of Notre Dame, playing Fridays through Saturdays, December 22nd through January 14th. And first of all, Esmeralda.
Hello.
Hi, how do you do? Thanks for coming on the program and taking a break from rehearsals just before you open. Is this musical a love story, a bittersweet romance, or a happily ever after guaranteed?
Who wants to take that one? I'll take it. I think it's a larger story than all of those things. I think it's pretty epic. I think it covers social justice, it covers romance, it covers sort of different opposing loyalties to, loyalties to different people, to, as in Frollo's case, his church or his humanity. And so I think it's just a huge, giant story about what it is to be human under these crazy circumstances.
Do you think it's relative to the situation we have today?
Oh yeah.
Very, very much so.
How so?
The way that Frollo runs his world is very similar to how society and government is run today, and where his rules are best. And people like Quasimodo, who are deformed and different, get cast aside a lot of the time, and I think that's very relevant to a lot of things that happen today.
Mm-hmm. Now, Esmeralda, you play a character that, does she just depend on Quasimodo, or does she genuinely care? Is she strong, trying to control events, involve herself, a heroine for today?
She's the strongest character I've ever had the privilege of playing. I believe that if this character was born in today and born in this century, she would be running things and in charge, and nothing would stop her. It's, however, way, way, way back when, so her social station in life and her gender really limit her, but she still proceeds forth with as much passion and as much fire as she has in her to do what she believes is right and to change what she can.
Yeah. Now, Bobby Cassell, you play Quasimodo, and Quasimodo was played by Charles Lawton and Anthony Quinn. How is the director having you play this very hard role?
Well, Quasimodo in the original Victor Hugo novel, it's talked about how he's deaf because of the bells. And in our story, there's a line that I say to Esmeralda where she says, "Can you hear me?" And I say no, the bells, I can still hear a little and read lips. So my portrayal is very much so like that, where I speak with more of a deaf sound when I'm talking to other people. When I'm with the gargoyles, then I talk normal, because it's kind of like how I see myself kind of thing. And so they all hear me perfectly fine.
Yeah. Now, it's just the gargoyles are characters right out of the Disney movie version of the Hunchback of Notre Dame, which this is built upon. Yeah. And how do the gargoyles fit in? Are they in costume, whatever?
Yeah, they all have cloaks, gray cloaks, and they each have a different personality. There are 6 of them, 6 gargoyles, and they're really Quasimodo's inner thoughts, because obviously they're not real. So each one of them is like a different version of how he would think. Some are more practical, some are more ambitious, and the people that we have to do a fantastic job of making that distinction when Quasimodo interacts with them.
Now, Esmeralda, you have a quasi-romance between you two in the plot, and Jenna, you have a triangle to contend with. You have James Zanelli, who plays Archdeacon Frollo, and Matthew Billman as Captain Phoebus to contend with for your players. Is this suspenseful?
Yes. For Esmeralda, I don't have any feelings whatsoever towards Frollo. I do give him the benefit of the doubt at the beginning of the story, and then I go with my intuition, which is this guy's a bad dude, and I don't trust him, and I don't like him, and I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to get through to him, but I'm going to continue to resist. As far as Quasimodo goes, Quasimodo is my reason for continuing the fight. I mean, I want to lift him up, I want to help him, I want to give him some of my strength, and I think I learn a lot from him all the time. His bravery, in spite of his physical disabilities in the show, is completely motivating to my character. The only person I romantically love is Phoebus, which I don't admit until Act 2. But
I see. And how does this work out between the two?
I'm always just trying to help Quasi and be there for him as a friend, but you have a bit of a different perspective on it, don't you?
Yeah, Quasimodo is head over heels for Esmeralda. I mean, she's the first person who has shown him true compassion. Frollo is really the only other person Quasimodo has ever dealt with in life, and he's constantly beating him down and putting him down and making him feel almost like, you know, like a worthless animal kind of thing. And then he meets this girl who is all of a sudden standing up for him and showing him happiness for the first time. And I think Quasimodo struggles with that, and that's what he thinks love is, so he instantly falls in love with her.
Mm-hmm. And how do you make Quasimodo lovable to the audience?
Yeah, there's a lot of, it's difficult because there's, you know, with the deaf thing, and I have a physical thing that I do with my face when I speak to help with the deaf sounding. But it's difficult to make him, you have to love Quasimodo instantly. And I think one of the best ways to do that is through his childlike mannerisms. And Quasimodo is very simple-minded because he hasn't experienced the world. So it's simple mannerisms like a smile here and there when Esmeralda shows compassion, things like that that a child would do. You see the innocence and love of a child, and I think that people connect with instantly.
How much of the Disney movie Hunchback is in this musical?
I would say the songs are where a lot of the content is similar. Some of the early scenes as well. If you watch the movie, they're almost word for word. Where it starts to deviate is Act 2. There are also some new fabulous songs by the same composers. It's Alan Menken and Stephen Schwartz, which is like an amazing duo. So that's where I would say Act 1 is very similar, and I would say the songs as well.
Yeah. So, overall, it's more based on the book, though.
Yeah.
The ending of our show is definitely how it is in the book, and it's definitely a darker take than the Disney musical movies.
What are your big songs, Esmeralda?
I have God Help the Outcasts, which is also an animated film. I have a wonderful duet with Quasi, which is Top of the World, where we get to really sort of solidify what our relationship is.
Looking down from the cathedral.
Yeah, looking down from the top of the cathedral. And then in Act 2, I have A Place of Miracles, which is sort of my love song with Phoebus, and a song called Someday as well.
And your big number is?
The biggest one of the show is Out There, which is from the Disney movie. And then I also have a song called Heaven's Light, which is, you know, Quasimodo's reflection. It's also from the movie about his love with Esmeralda. But I think the biggest song in the show is Made of Stone, and it's at the very end of the show, and it's Quasimodo's, it's almost like he's giving up kind of thing. And it's his cry for help, and he wants to belong to society, but he's just given up because he's stoned like a gargoyle.
Okay, now let's see. You played Jane in Tarzan 2 years ago. Very good. And
thank you.
And my question is, how different is this role?
How are they different? First of all, they're very different because Jane is a very privileged character, and she is, you know, a young British sort of ingenue in the stage version, and she, you know, is super intelligent, educated, and more of an upper class. She's wealthy enough to travel to Africa. Esmeralda is dirt poor, and she has no social standing and no privilege, and she's way more grounded and earthy than Jane. They're both strong women, and they're both inquisitive, but Esmeralda's more of a fighter and more of a warrior than Jane is, and she has to be.
Yeah, and why did you try out for this role?
I actually played Quasimodo in South Florida, in the Southeastern regional premiere. So that was my first shot at the role, and I knew that I wanted to do it again. I knew that there was more to the character that could be explored than what I had done the first time.
Is that the way acting is? You sort of follow a role that you like?
Exactly. You know, if there's a role that you feel like you're a good fit for and you get good reviews on, then you know that, like, well, obviously there's something that works in this. I want to keep trying to do that same thing over and over again.
Okay. Well, Bobby Cassell and Jenna DeLuca, thank you for being with us before your show, Hunchback of Notre Dame opens, and break away.
Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. Now I'm joined by Cecilia Snow, who plays Florica and another character in Hunchback, right?
Yes.
Right? And you're a resident of White Plains.
Yes.
You've been in the theater for a number of years.
Yeah.
But this is your first real role at the White Plains Performing Arts Center. How did you come by it?
Funny story, I actually met our choreographer Lexi at a restaurant I used to work at, and she was telling me about White Plains Performing Arts Center, and so I was like, all right, cool, I'll go in and audition.
Great. And what do you think got you the part?
Oh gosh.
The gypsy look?
Sure, why
Yes,
not? We had a big dance call. I feel like I did really well in that. It also helps that I have some opera training under my belt, so.
You worked the chorus,
right? Right, yeah. I sang opera in college and whatnot. And Florica's little section at the very end is more legit singing, so I think that definitely helped.
How do you participate in the show? What is your role?
So I play Florica. I don't want to give too much away, but she's a gypsy who falls in love with Claude Frollo's brother, Jehan. And then there's other things that happen. I don't want to give it away, but it's very cool. And then I also play a gypsy, a Parisian, and in the ensemble and whatnot. So.
And now, what do you see this perhaps leading to? Every show sort of builds on the ones before that you're in.
Right.
Right.
Oh gosh, I don't know.
You're basically a dancer, singer?
More a singer actor. I consider myself a strong mover. But I'm just hoping to keep working in theater and building my resume and whatnot. So.
Gets in your blood.
Yeah, definitely.
Like surfing.
Yeah.
Tell me, what is the highlights of the show from a production standpoint? What are the dancers like?
Well, we have really great ensemble members, and it's definitely like a team effort. We all contribute something a little different, so they're awesome to work with. And then our leads are just phenomenal and out of this world. Bobby's just killing it as Quasimodo, and now that we're in tech too, we're doing costume pieces, and which are beautiful and stunning, and the lights as well have been such a privilege to be able to see and whatnot, the whole ins and outs and everything. So it's been great.
Okay. Well, listen, good luck.
Thank you.
We'll be looking for you on opening night.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Now we're joined by Chris Guzman of Stepinac High School,
Yes.
graduate of 2014.
2014.
A very famous actor on the Stepinac stage, and you actually got your start here at the Performing Arts Center when you were 7.
When I was 7 years old, yeah. We did a production of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
That's right. So let's see, now you've been in professional theater for how long?
Well, this is actually my first
Professional performance.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's great to start here, back where it all started.
Right. Well, how do you like it so far?
It's been great. I mean, the cast is super wonderful. Everyone is wonderful. The actors playing Quasimodo and Esmeralda, super great. It's really been a great learning experience as well. I'll actually be graduating next semester from NYU Tisch. So I'm studying acting there, so it's a great place and a great opportunity to come here, back where it all started, and really get to learn.
Right. Now, being in a professional production with professional actors who have been in the theater, in the show business, as they say, for a while, what is different here? What is it really impresses you the most about the Big D?
What's really good here is the level of professionalism and maturity that comes along with it. Everyone it's really very streamlined. Everyone knows what they're doing, what they're here for, and so it's been great to learn from that aspect. And luckily I've having done the shows here, a few shows here previously through their educational program, they really helped prepare me for that transition next to the professional stage.
Talk a little bit about that educational program that the White Plains Performing Arts Center runs.
Yeah, so I did work here with the conservatory program that they had. So it was ages from, I believe the youngest was 10 and above, and it was a really great opportunity to work with adults and children alike, and they brought in professional staff to help work with us, and that was a great learning experience as well.
Do you think it gave you a leg up or an advantage?
Oh, totally, yeah.
You did?
Doing the work here, doing the work at Stepanak, as well as the training at NYU, it's really helped prepare me, and I'm super thrilled to be here.
Mm-hmm. And you play Lieutenant Charles. You have speaking roles?
Yeah, of course, a few lines, a few
that's great.
combat scenarios, so...
Combat scenario, right. So the show overall, how do you like it? You saw the Disney movie, right?
Yeah.
How does it translate?
Oh, it's a great show. I think what I love about it is really the score and how rich the music is. And it's awesome that they fill it with a 30-person choir, and it's a really full sound. We got to work with the choir the other day, and they're fantastic. And so coming together with the full ensemble with everyone, it's really a remarkable show.
Yeah. What do you think the audience will be most impressed with about the show?
That's a good question. I really think, well, if I was an audience member and I was coming to see it, I would be blown away, one, by the cast, and then two, by the music and the sounds.
I see. Well, Chris Guzman, congratulations.
It's a pleasure.
On your first professional role at the White Plains Performing Arts Center in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and break away.
Great. Thank you so much.
Right.
Thank you for having me.
And now, look out, we have the Archdeacon, who is played by James Zanelli. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And I've always wondered, you were essentially the villain in The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Do you enjoy playing villains as opposed to good guys?
Definitely enjoy playing the villains.
Why is that?
Because you get to explore the dark side. And actually, I have to say that there's more to him than just being a bad guy. He actually loved his brother, and he hates the gypsies. He blames the gypsies for his brother's death. So that's what turns him so dark and evil and against the gypsies. And it's very easy to play a villain, to play the anger, but it's harder and more complex to play the humanity of the character, to find those human moments in the character. Yeah.
Now the play comes to a very dramatic comes to a very dramatic climax.
Yes.
Do you feel the audience is going to play to that?
They're going to love it. The orchestra sounds amazing. Yeah. The orchestration of the piece is amazing. It's almost very operatic in scale. It's very grandiose. Yes.
Right.
Definitely.
So you would describe it more like operetta.
No, it's musical theater.
It is.
But the scope and the scale, it gets very big.
What is the scope and scale of the show? The scenery, the effects?
I think everything together. We have a huge set, huge backup choir, 15-piece orchestra, a large ensemble. There's moments where the entire ensemble is singing. We make a lot of sound, and it's very effective.
And it's a fast-moving story with a lot of scene changes.
Yes.
Chases, right?
There's a few, yes.
Yes,
A few chases.
So we see a lot of action in this.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we will looking forward to seeing you in that.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Thank you.
Now I'm joined with the scenic designers of The Hunchback of Notre Dame, playing from December 22nd through January 14th on weekends. And this is Christopher and Justin Swader, and you are the scenic designers, and yes, folks, they are twins. Right, of course, you always get that. But here's my question to you. What did you try to do with the scenes in this show? What can the audience expect?
Well, I feel like for this show, it's a very epic show. The music's on a very big scale. There's a large ensemble. There's a 30-person choir. So there's a lot to take in on the stage. I think for us, it was really about just trying to find some kind of large gesture that could encompass all of these different locations and become with with the help of lighting and with the help of costumes and stuff, really just kind of transform and illuminate and become all sorts of different locations. And we really wanted to create a big playground for the actors to have. So there's lots of different levels, there's lots of places for people to kind of emerge from and crawl out of and lean onto and climb onto. So I feel like that's always fun for us.
Now I understand you've created the Cathedral of Notre Dame.
I think in our own kind of theatrical interpretation of it, I think we've created something that suggests that, but also can become, the architecture lends itself to, becoming a town square, or becomes a tavern, or
Or a bell tower.
so I don't know. That's the fun part of theater, is like kind of creating like a theatrical gesture, and it can kind of the audience can kind of imagine it.
What are the special effects that you're really proud of in the show?
Well, I think there's going to be I don't know. I feel like there's there's these three kind of giant bells that are looming overhead, and I think it's been exciting to see those take shape, and as we've been kind of working through all
they
this.
actually ring.
They do, and I feel like the ensemble manipulates them in a really fun way, and yeah, it's tricky to, those were custom made for the show, and yeah, it's like if you look up close at it, like they do look very real, and so I feel like we've had a fun time kind of figuring out how to create bells of that scale.
Yeah. Is this your first show with the Performing Arts Center?
Yeah, this is our
It
show. Yeah.
And how do you like the stage to work?
Oh, we've had a fun time. It's a large stage, so it's it's a lot of real estate to fill, but I feel like we've all kind of embraced that and made the best use of this space.
Mm-hmm. So scene and actors and music all work into each other, right?
Yeah. Just one big kind of, it all kind of just comes together, and it's really exciting.
Okay. Well, listen, thanks very much for
Thank
letting
you.
us inside,
Oh, yeah.
behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
John Bailey again, and this time we are back with the director of The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Frank Portanova, on my far left. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And the musical director, Stephen Ferry. And first of all, let's start off by saying what makes this Hunchback of Notre Dame different from the Disney movie, which it's based on, and how is it the same?
As far as this, there's a lot of the same songs from the movie that are in it, and they wrote a few additional songs just for the stage version, which most of the time they do to make it a little bit longer and flesh out the plot. But all of their favorite songs and they're out there, Topsy Turvy, God Help the Outcasts. And then as far as the plot goes, it's based more so off of Victor Hugo's novel, so and he wrote the novel for Les Mis. But it features, I think, a little bit of the novel as well as the movie, as far as hitting all the major points and then a few twists and turns in there.
Yes. Now, Frank, is this show geared to be understood by children or older, slightly older? Is it a family show? What do you think? How did you?
Absolutely. You just asked about the similarities to the Disney film, and the themes are all very similar, very family friendly. The show is filled with lessons, for students and kids of all ages, especially in our society today where there's a lot of bullying, and that happens a lot in schools. And this show has a clear anti-bullying message that families can really take home and talk about with their children. So absolutely, it's geared towards children. Similar themes to the film.
You have a 30-person choir in the show. How is that used, and is the group we know? Or?
Sure. Well, the choir was something that we started in, I would say, probably September, looking for choir members, and our focus was to find they're all volunteer-based, which is how both of the original productions were done as well. And we basically focused on doing an open audition. Anyone from the surrounding area, New York City, could audition. So we did our best to contact a lot of the local choirs in the area, and then those were, we did public auditions. Once we found our group of 30 individuals, they rehearsed basically once a week over the last month to learn the score. So they sing throughout the show in a bunch of different numbers.
Like a Greek chorus.
Correct, and that's one of the themes and the storytelling devices in the show. Is there's moments where the cast is leading the narration, and then also areas where the choir kind of takes the reign of leading us through, and they actually open the second act with the entr'acte, which is just a choral feature.
Frank, this is a fast-moving show from what I I understand.
Absolutely. It's once it starts, it doesn't stop. There's a lot of action. Like a true film, you know, the setting shifts from place to place with each scene. So it is very challenging for the actors to keep the movement going and the momentum of the piece going. There's a lot of costume changes, so absolutely.
Right. What special effects can we expect?
Let's see, we won't give them all away.
Okay.
We have some, we obviously have the bells, which is a big thing for us, being that we're not really a fly house. It's not something that we do often, and we were able to pull some of that off here. There's some few little tricks with the gypsies. What else? There's a few things.
Acrobatics?
Well, Topsy Turvy is definitely a fun number in some of that as well. So there's a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm. And Frank, what did you see in Jenna and Bobby that you picked them for the leads?
It's just definitely their humanity. You know, it's very important that people who come to see the play can see the compassion in them and have a sense of empathy and somehow relate to them in some way. So that's definitely what I saw in them.
Mm-hmm. And how was the chemistry working?
Fantastic. They really have developed a nice camaraderie, and you really, you know, feel the compassion and empathy that Jenna senses for Bobby. You know, they may be outcast for different reasons in their society, but that's what bonds them together.
Mm-hmm. And what do you as a director, or what are you bringing out as the message of this show? What are you really hitting upon?
You know, I think it's a perfect message for Christmas time. I think at Christmas time we want to think about, you know, those in our society who are in some way disenfranchised or in some way feel like they don't belong or they're left behind or they're neglected in some way. And I think this is a perfect show for Christmas, you know, because we want to think of those people at this time and perhaps what are we doing for people who feel, you know, disenfranchised or somehow have needs in our community that we're not addressing or may not be aware of. And I hope this show makes people think of those people in our community and maybe what can I do, you know, to make them feel part of our community more.
And can we expect the usual fantastic dance spectaculars? So it's sort of marked like Ghost and...
Yeah, there's definitely 2 or 3 dance numbers in the show. Topsy Turvy is a big one, the Tavern Song's another one. So they do a good job at throwing those in when they can in some of the spots.
What do you think is the best moment of the show?
Oh, they're all great. I can't, you know.
Right.
It's like a child, you know. You can't, but they're all great.
How did the show come to be here? I understand this is the first York area.
Yeah, well, what we do is when the show is licensed, like similar to when we did, you know, Ghost and a few of the other titles, certain theaters, you don't get the availability to do the show, and we're the first professional New York production in a regional theater, and it just happened to work out that it was something that we worked out with the licensing company and Disney to be able to do something, you know, a little different with the show and premiere it here.
I see. Anything more Frank, you want to say about the show?
Well, like I said, I just think it's a great piece for the entire family, especially at this time of year. I encourage everyone to come out and see it.
Okay. Well, director Frank Portanova of The Hunchback of Notre Dame and musical director Stephen Fairley, you have been heard, and we want everybody to pick up your tickets now. It's on from
December 22nd to January 14th.
That's right, and there are several shows each weekend, and we hope you'll go out and see it. Sounds like a great show. I haven't seen the movie, and I have not seen Hunchback of Notre Dame since 1956.
Oh, wow,
so,
okay.
I mean, I will look forward to that. So, John Bailey at the White Plains Performing Arts Center. And for tickets, 328-1600. And go to WPPAC.com if you want more information. John Bailey saying good night for People to Be Heard.